Oh man, have you done anything fun this week, man? Anything inspiring? Anything you're looking forward to?
Weekend?
I mean, just
Or,
like, did this week not suck? Did you do anything
oh,
cool?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Claude Cowork, which is, yeah, it's amazing. I think I sent you a message like Monday morning or maybe even Sunday night after I had time to play around with it over the weekend and did a bunch of cool stuff. And then, I was thinking about it today. I was like, okay, I got to do like a recap and maybe even talk about it here. And I was like, oh, I did like these two cool things. But then I went and looked at all my conversations with, and I was like, oh, I did more than that. Like, yeah, there's just so many amazing things that Cowork is able to do. And I don't know, maybe I'm just a fanboy that's like super fascinated, but I think it's very impressive stuff that it's pulling off at this point.
Yeah, I'm blown away by just this stuff. So I've been doing a couple of things. So I finally set up OpenClaw. I forget if we talked about that. I got it running on my Raspberry Pi. Took like 10 fucking hours, dude. But because I was trying to do it in a Docker container, and then I was trying to do like my own like infrastructure credentials, and none of that was set up. It's all kind of like OpenAI and Anthropic work. Easy button. Highly recommend. I just wanted to lock everything down on like it can't see all the devices on my network. It has firewall access. I didn't want to like pay a ton more using Opus 6.4.6, which is super expensive. And I finally just threw in my OpenAI key and it worked. It's worked. And so I got a Discord server set up and everything. I can chat with it, but I haven't played with it much because, again, I actually paid for the $100 Claude Code plan, and Claude Code busted out with the remote. So now you can go on. You can enable a remote session from Claude Code and have it on your phone or a browser or whatever. Man, it's pretty phenomenal. So I was like, I went to the grocery store and I was like doing like accept this and keep going. And so I guess to one point, so one thing I did that was not just like skunkworks, right? Oh, this is cool. I've been meaning to create this website content for a family member, and it was to be optimized for Google Business Profile. And there's a flow of it, and it's all AI generated content. And I'm not because I'm not a handyman expert, but it's based on a lot of like upfront research. What are your handyman categories? What are the service page categories? How do you link to it? And this whole site structure. And so there's a little course. And so what I ended up doing is I used like Claude for Excel, and I extracted everything into Markdown. Then I went to Claude Code and I put all the instructions. Actually, I think no, actually I did it in Claude Opus 4.6 on the website. Gave it the markdowns. It actually gave me the plan. Then it created all the skills. So like this is the huge unlock is, dude, anything that you think you want to do, you should be thinking recursively, how can I get Claude to do it? And skills are a huge component of this. And so then it created all the skills. And so I got the zip file, extracted it, then I ran it in Claude Code. Within 2 hours, it spawned up a bunch of Sonnet 4.6 agents and created everything. And it had checkpoints in there. So it created the sitemap and made sure I was comfortable with that. And then it iterated through all the pages. And it didn't just create the page. It then did anchor text between and links between all the different pages because it knows the URL at once. And then it did third-party external links to like the Gov, like relevant sites for like, as a dishwasher and to this, and then to the US Gov site for XYZ and water and hard water and all this stuff based on the regionality of it all. And I was just like, dude, this is next level. Now I still got to go do all the work on getting into WordPress, create the pages, but like, I mean, dude, that would have easily saved me like 80 hours of just like, because I don't do this on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, so like, imagine that. I don't know. So I've come to the conclusion that the the capex boom is not overblown. That essentially, if you remember GoDaddy, there's going to be a GoDaddy for OpenClaw agents. Everyone's going to have an agent. You're just going to sign it up. You'll assign it its access. They'll secure it somehow, like a virtual private server, and you'll give it the credentials you want, and they'll put better guardrails on it, and it'll just be your little bitch doing all the stuff that you don't want. Like,
Yeah.
because that's kind of what OpenClaw is. It's just not as well thought out as like Claude Code, so it's really inefficient on tokens right now. But it's only a matter of time, dude. It is only a matter of time.
Yeah. I mean, at the pace that like Claude, the Anthropic is shipping, anything that's not there today, I'm like, oh, it'll be here next week. Like to your point. So it's not there now, but give it, I mean, maybe 2 weeks, hypothetical, but I mean, for an example, like I'm trying to get the MCP set up for co-work for Salesforce, get that integrated. And there's like a hiccup between like Salesforce and Anthropic right now. And Salesforce like, well, it's not approved yet. And in my mind, I'm like, this will be done in like a week. Like, so I don't need to like go and like jerry rig way around it through Claude Code, because I can get it to work through Claude Code, but not through Cowork. But yeah, it's just like to your point, it'll be a week before. I don't know, I'm saying week, but yeah, things are just moving so fast.
Yeah, so development effort's definitely not the limiting factor, and especially for Anthropic, because they figured out so much of the recursive code and all the code they're generating, which still blows my mind because I still have to hit tab a lot on accept, so it's not that efficient for me in a lot of ways. So I'm trying to shift to how do I automate more with skills that are pre-built for recursive tasks I do on a regular basis? I was listening to a podcast on how AI and the people at Notion use like this kind of like MVP workbench that's powered by Claude Code as well as like whatever tool you kind of prefer. But it's a React website. And he was talking a lot about, can I get Claude to essentially, give it permission to launch Chrome, you do localhost, take a picture, try to fix its own bugs, or like, did you get it right or not? And again, just kind of that recursive angle of troubleshooting instead of waiting for the human in the loop on some of this stuff. And it's mind blowing. And just to talk about like how fast this is moving, I've been talking about this security presentation I want to give and record on YouTube. Have the content, so I just have to spend cycles building it. But I sent you that video of that guy that uses Claude skills to edit, like make React based video presentation. So just kind of imagine, someone putting together a pretty presentation, walking through it and having the audio narration, not just like the visuals. And dude, this morning I whipped it out with Claude Code. Like, so I'm going to pull this up and it's pretty trippy, dude. Like, this is not any fancy video editing. This is 100% free. It basically, the prompt asks Claude to go out and scrape a website and pull in some of their stuff, which could be in GTM. I feel like this is really relevant. So the use case I was thinking here is enablement. So when you have partnerships or you're launching something new, or you need to scale out a better together value proposition, which is just something we do a lot in ISV. And there's always alliances, how do you get your field? How do you get your sales engineers or your solution architects or whatever, skilled up? And that's just a heavy lift because everyone has their day job. So you really need the people that know the product on both sides, that understand each other's products and how they work together better. And just because of the Venn diagram of those scopes, there's not a lot of people and they're usually fucking busy, right? So that was kind of the native idea here. So none of this is paid. This is just like, I think it's Rev Motion. I'll just play these animations and it just pieces it all together. And then this is the product demo. And you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
and I did this, I want to say in less than an hour. Like it was, and I didn't do anything. I didn't open a PowerPoint and it just recorded it. I had to go and get an 11 Labs free API key. And I just dropped it into my variables file, environment file, and it just ripped on it, dude. I was kind of wondering what's taking so long, because then the video was like 15 minutes, and he does it right there in the new Google Anti-Gravity IDE with Claude Code, which I also downloaded. But dude, yeah. So like now it's like my next step here is going to be in the same window asking Claude Code to create a skill for this. So next time it goes faster. Like basically what all the things it learned, package that in a skill so it works on my laptop. I'm just like,
yeah, that probably is more impressive than anything I did. But
I didn't do
yeah,
shit, bro. Like literally all you need to do is prompt it and have the patience to like babysit it because it's
Yeah.
guessing what is in your head, and then once you get close enough, you're like, yes, and then reinforcement learning from there on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, orchestrating and like pulling it together. But that is, I mean, that is super impressive. I mean, just the fact that we are there, like you're there, like to the point you're just like, I just did this in an hour. I've been sitting on this, you know, ruminating on it for weeks. And now I just took 10 minutes to write the prompt and it just did it.
It just ripped, dude. It was
And,
crazy.
and it did it to like an acceptable level, not like, oh, I mean, we say a few years ago, but you think a few years back when like image prompting was coming out and they'd do like, I don't know if you've seen the famous Will Smith one where it was like
The
eating,
spaghetti.
and it was like horrible in like 2023. And then now like, it's like, oh, is that real? Like,
The CEO of one of my customers were at their kickoff, and they used that as an example on their keynote. And they just did like, remember this, and then look at it now, and it's just like, because it's real. You can see it. It's visceral. It's like, dude, that is crazy.
yeah. And it's like an 18-month delta, like, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I mean, Anthropic's shipping a new product like every day.
Yeah. And I'll share just two while we're on like the show and tell real quick. Let's see. All right. So this first one I'm going to share. And I ran a test because we have all the connectors, in, Coworker for my Google or Gmail suite, right? And so I just created a folder just to test it because I wasn't going to give it like full access and be like, hey, run this. So I created a leads folder, dumped like roughly 17 leads in there. And I said, go, from Coworker, hey, go onto my Gmail, go onto my leads folder, scrub my leads, categorize them, tier them, give me status, just to experiment, right? Like not going to do this like full-fledged like accounts or
So, and
full-fledged.
so you have leads in a folder, or is it connected to Salesforce, or?
Yeah, sorry, let me bring that back. Like inbound leads that come through that are inbound email. So they come through
Okay.
like the
And you
contact us or
got
from
it.
like
Yep.
my support team saying, hey, these individuals want to talk about like a custom plan or, they have questions about, the product. So it's either from like support or just like our inbound contact from, but I only took like a sample of 17 because I didn't want to like let it run loose on like,
Rough shot all over everything.
yeah. So just into this folder, titled it like, leads, and just said, hey, tier these, rank them, give me customer insights on these. So what it did, it create, and I didn't even ask for the dashboard. I just thought it would give me like a written like .md file, right? Or just like a
Yep.
written response like in a Google Doc to say like, oh, here's some leads and here's how they're ranked. Did not ask for a dashboard. It just on its own went and built this dashboard. And it's an interactive dashboard. So I can go through my tiers. And so then you come down here and I can click on him. It gives me company overview, qualification signals, recommended actions on all of them.
Wow.
Tiering them, did all of this. Like I didn't even ask for this in depth of like, I was just like, hey, tier these, give me some customer insights and some action items to follow up on. And literally did this, like, which is I think pretty impressive. So now, mind you, company overview, the like qualification signals, are they all like to the T? Maybe, maybe not. Haven't gone through and like audited the whole thing, but this is super impressive. And it took it like 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's super, super impressive. Now, do you think you're going to use this like on a regular basis? Just kind of curious. Is this actionable? Is it save you any time?
Yeah. So that was the thing that I had to think through after it was done. Cause one, I was not expecting a dashboard, but then this got me thinking on like, okay, well, to your point, can I create this as a skill where I can just have it like run automatically? So like I keep just dumping leads into that folder and then just say, hey, every morning at, 6 a.m., run my leads folder, right? like, or whatever it may be. So I really hadn't been thought that far along, because I honestly just thought it was going to give me a Google Doc back with like some action items. So this has me thinking. So then it's like pushing me now to think like, oh, how can you use this? Versus now it rather being just like a toy for me to explore. So yeah, I thought that was very interesting. I'll do really quick one more. So we launched beta access for a new service, and we have our inbounds coming in, and they Claude now has a marketing plugin. And so like in Coworker, so I went and select the marketing plugin, and then it has an email sequence feature. So I selected the email sequence from marketing and said, hey, here is our new product we just launched. Here's the PR and here's the product page. Draft me an email sequence for warm inbound leads to follow up with that are requesting access. So literally did this. Didn't I thought it again was going to be like a Google Doc, puts together this, like, I'm impressed by this. I think it's a beautiful website, but puts together the sequence strategy, sequencing overview, you know, then it puts together the email drafts for the drip campaign. So, and then it gives you recommended, subject lines, then the body of the email, then email 2, email 3. But here's where it gets impressive. So you get down past your emails, then it tells you the flow, like set this up in your GTM tool. So if you're using like Instantly or SendGrid or Marketo, whatever you're using for your email sequencing, so it gives you like the instructions. Then it talks about the logic and suppression rules. And then here's where it gets really cool. Gets the A/B testing that it recommends. And then it says, here's where your performance metrics should be.
Oh, that's cool. What
Like,
tool do y'all use? I mean, because couldn't you just, next step, you should just ask it to basically build out the
yeah,
workflow, and so you can upload it.
exactly. And so again, back to my previous comment where I wasn't really expecting something of this. So now, using Instantly, and then, the leads as they come in, being like, all right, here, set this up, go and set this up automatically and instantly. And then, integrating and automating that the leads go directly to Instantly as they do currently. But I mean, I was super impressed. I mean, the fact that it gives me like what my like performance benchmark should be for developer and business to developer audience, and just things to like benchmark off of. I don't know. Super cool, right? Like for a GTM person, this I think is something maybe like a marketing team would spend a month on. I don't know. I'm not a marketer, but the fact that like putting this all together, this brief in a sense of like then passing it off and saying, hey, this is our email sequence. Here's what we're expecting.
Totally, man. Yeah, but just everything is compressing. It's so fast. It's crazy. So so Adam GTM, I think he runs Peer Signal. So he's got a great couple newsletters, and he's built that out the GTM 100, which I kind of find fascinating. So just outside of Clay, there's really no other, unicorn or deca unicorn for GTM, right? Everything's in the software engineering space, and just CRM is just burst onto the scene. So I asked Opus 4.6 this morning or last night, I forget, and it all bleeds together. It's like, hey, tell me all this. So I pulled up the list. I said, there's like 8 of them or something like that were basically sales or CRM focused, not marketing, not GTM on this list. And so I was like, analyze it, tell me like the pricing structure, pluses and minuses. So it pulled into a couple of different categories, and it created all this, which not, groundbreaking, but then I said, oh, well, Opus, create me a slide deck. And I'm going to try slideshow real quick, but I don't know if it's going to work. Tell me if you can't see it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. So this is just from the doc, created all these slides. I didn't do any of it. I haven't edited it. So, but it's pretty interesting, right? So it's basically 3 categories. So full CRM replacements, Attio, Revio, RSL, CRM augmentation, Momentum, Fathom, WinIA, Attention, and then intelligence platforms they had as unified or upside. It had the funding and the investor landscape, which I thought was super interesting. It's got like kind of the pluses and the minuses here on the CRM replacements, goes through everything. And so I mean, one, this is an area I think we should start kind of, investigating, and because a lot of these are free, but I was just, how do I stop sharing? And I just was blown away by the speed of research, the quality of the research, the quality of the presentation. And this is all created in less than like 10 or 15 minutes easy. And so that's where kind of I was like, oh, how can I automate that into the video? So I haven't figured out how to do all of that. But I mean, you could read this and put together some really compelling stuff. So, which kind of brings me to a great quote I heard this week on the Google CMO podcast or Frontier podcast. And he was talking to the CMO of Chime, I think. And he said, the CMO of Chime said, I think we're coming up on a period of perfect execution. So agents are just going to run everything. Every process is going to be efficient. You're not going to have human error per se. It's not going to fall through the cracks. So what you choose to focus on is going to be really important. That creative aspect, how you're going to differentiate, how you're going to build your brand. Because again, you're going to execute everything perfectly. And if everyone's executing perfectly, where's the differentiation? It has to be somewhere. So like, it's coming. So I think that's just constantly going back on the mental model. If you don't look where you are, you look where it's going and how fast this is moving, and start thinking, where is the differentiation going to be? And that's the only way to stay ahead of this stuff.
Yeah. I've thought of a lot that resonates, and something I've been like thinking about a lot this week. And I don't know if you'll remember this, but a few years back,
Probably not. It's gone.
yeah,
I have 3 kids.
yeah.
I sleep and drink on the weekend sometimes, and so it's gone.
And I mean, you actually said this, and so I've been thinking about it, and it aligns with exactly what you said. So there's a few years back, I remember I sent you a link. There was these guys, these dudes, they basically went and took all of the AWS like architectural diagrams and then published it in a book, and then we're actually reselling it, and like got not reselling, selling it, and got Jeff Barr to basically like, promote them. And if you know who Jeff Barr is, like,
Yeah, the
he's,
chief evangelist for Amazon Web Services.
yes, for those that aren't listening and may not be aware, but like he was very well known in the cloud world. But all they did was took the architectural diagram PDF off the AWS website, and you said, oh, you're like, that's great. It's information arbitrage. And so where I've been thinking about that a lot lately is right now, it's like, we're in that window where things are pretty much accessible to everybody. You just have to have the agency to execute
Execute.
on that. Yeah. Execute on that information arbitrage, right? Because it's not to say somebody, my counterpart in this role somewhere else couldn't be doing, what I'm going to do. Right.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The agency is insane here, and it's hard because I don't have a good analogy for it, but everybody's woken up and you want to learn Spanish, you want to start running, you want to work out more, you want you want to write. What's the hardest part? Sitting down and writing the first paragraph. And so you have to like switch to this mode of embracing the unknown, and your first paragraph is actually your first prompt. So instead of writing a paragraph, you should just go garbage in. I want to do XYZ. How would I do that? What do you think? And then just start iterating. And I still, as much as I've used these tools, I still have that cognitive block. Like, fuck, like I don't know how to ask. I don't know what I want is it's not going to know. And it's just, you just end up learning along the way. It's insane. Just fucking do it. Because you don't want to be on the other side. That's the other part of this is like, that keeps me up at night. So I'm like,
Yeah. I mean, and on that point, like just to do it, if you're blocked by like, oh, I don't know how to ask it the right way, is literally a lot of times I'll just open up a fresh chat and say, how would you draft a prompt for an LLM to accomplish the following? Like, and basically tell it what I want it to do.
yeah.
Like, because I'm not, maybe I can't articulate it, but I ask it like, what would this prompt look like to make this, work effectively? And then
So
it'll like do the prompt for me. And I'm like, okay, copy, paste that, boom. then we
Yeah.
go. We're off to races.
I've found my subscription bill is going up more and more every month. So I pay for the basic GPT. I pay for the basic Gemini, just like the $20 a month. I bumped up to the $100 one for Claude Code. I don't know that I need it. I probably need it because I was hitting the limits. What else do I have? I got Gamma, $25 a month. I signed up for 11 Labs. So it's kind of crazy. We talked, I think, a couple weeks ago, this personal stack of one, the solopreneur. And I'm in a big company, so we have our own tools I can use for that. But obviously can't put any company data into anything else. And so it's kind of interesting. It's still worth it because these are all just things I'm interested in. I like learning. But to your point, I open up sometimes. I'm a couple of things. I'm finding, so the first thing I do when I find a YouTube podcast, I go to Gemini and ask, what are the key insights from this? If I can't watch it or I want to talk about it with somebody, because okay, it's got the transcript, it's hosted on YouTube, like, bam, that should be pretty easy. And then if it's writing, I go with Claude Code. Right now, if it goes with planning, I go with Claude Code. Gemini, I do a lot of deep research. ChatGPT is kind of my everything else. Like, I just catch all. And I've been doing more with the transcripts, but I'm starting to use, I think I'm going to try to do a skill for that, for us converting transcript into social posts since we're already talking. But it's so crazy. Like, you find yourself using the different tools to fact check it or get different versions. And so I think also back to the skill thing, why I'm so interested in that. And for people that aren't familiar, so skill.md, which is Markdown. So essentially Claude just reads the header and understands what skills you have preloaded, and then it can execute that. But if you've ever found yourself doing in a chat and you've been talking to it for an hour, this is where I was doing OpenClaw. I was just like constantly debugging and just like, what did we cover? Like, its memory is kind of going squirrely, it can't figure it out. It's going off, hallucinating because you're hitting, there's a lack of online documentation that it's trained on or something. And so I think skills are a way to kind of like get the things that are easy and put it in there and then have a little bit tighter context. At least that's what I was thinking. And then get more repeatable, more deterministic results. At least that's what it feels like when I use skills. So that's my next evolution of the use of these tools.
Yeah, hands down. Yeah, the skills I think are clutch. I've just been playing around, and the beautiful thing is just like, to your point, like just being curious and wanting to know. And I've just created like random skills that probably don't even need to have skills, but I'm like, oh, unfold this data from these dashboards, send me an update, you know. It's more like task based, but still it's just like, just to experiment and do it. Cause I think too, that's how you refine your approach and get better at things, is like not being afraid to just like do things that you might think are lower level.
Yeah, agreed. Have you looked at some of the newer CRM things that we've been talking about? The ATOs or the Oracel? Because I know y'all use Salesforce, or maybe Salesforce has, their agent force. I'm curious. You're in that
Yeah.
world more than I am. I fucking hate our CRM, dude. But I'm in a utility-based business, and so it's different than transactional. Yeah, so but
Yeah.
what are
So
you seeing, man?
we use Salesforce. I haven't actually looked at any of the other ones, probably more, it was a struggle to like win the Salesforce internal champion. So we got that. And so I don't want to like, oh, by the way, I just found this. And then I'll be like, what? You advocated so hard that we go for this. So Salesforce, you got us for now.
But you're in a contract too, right? 1 or 3
Yeah.
years? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did get Agent Force. So I'm going to start working on
Oh,
Agent
cool.
Force and seeing what that can do. So I need to unpack that and start playing around there. But I do see some of the other ones. And then a lot of the tools like, use instantly, plug, they're not paying me. They have like their CRM sort of like built into it. But I think a lot of the tools do have like I don't want to call it like I don't even want to use the word baby, but it's just like a CRM for like what you're doing in that tool. And then, they all also like link back to like a HubSpot. And so then, it's like a native CRM for that specific task, if you want to call it. So like instantly, for example, like using it for like outbound, like email sequencing. And so then it has its CRM of like, oh, here's all the leads that you've sent, like here's the status type stuff. So you have that in there. And so yeah, it's two different systems to manage, but you can integrate them and ingest it back to SFDC. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think goes to the A16Z's mental model around these startups. Yeah, Greenfield versus Brownfield, which every time I say Brownfield, I hate.
yeah,
But Greenfield being kind of this net new space and Brownfield being rip and replace or displacing existing. So I don't know many people that probably want to go head to head against Salesforce, except maybe like a HubSpot or a ServiceNow. But these, it's easier to get a new customer. It's not using a CRM. It's easier to find new use cases, like to wedge into, right? Like a gap that HubSpot is like ignored or not filled yet. Now it's also hard. You have more competition because then if they're the platform, we've talked about that. They could develop the features up and kind of usurp your market opportunity. But eventually you're probably going to have to go after the CRM capacity, or, if you want to talk about vertically integrating or horizontally integrating with your SaaS features, whichever one makes most sense for your mental model. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, like the trade-offs there, right? Because you get faster revenue in Greenfield, but then, you're going to have to eventually compete in kind of the existing space. So I think I'd be curious, like what Agent Force comes out. And I think I'm going to sign up for these like ATIOs. I'm kind of curious, ourselves do some pilots or see if we could, like the Handyman company, like would it be worth having a CRM, or should we go high levels, like a really cheap one for backend automation? I don't know, it's kind of be interesting to see the value prop for all this stuff. It's such a crowded space to me. That's what's surprising.
I think the teams that are probably hurting are like, because there are certain like smaller CRMs, like there's like Pipedrive, and they've been around for a while, and like these other like pseudo CRMs that are like almost like Kanban, like high velocity like sales or type car salesman or like insurance. So have those like smaller CRMs. I feel bad for those because a lot of those have been around for like 10 plus years or a while. But then you have the new ones that you're mentioning that are, more AI native that I think will eat the lunch of those, because there's like real estate agents or insurance agents or marshals, teams that use like a pipe drive, which is just like a Kanban board at the end of the day. But then you get like a tool, one of these AI native ones. I think it's going to eat the lunch of those smaller like Greenfield and even Brownfield SMBs.
Yeah. So this will be the last point. Only CFO newsletter. He His shit's so good, and it's so good consistently. So this is called Praying for Distribution. AI changes the math. So in a world where everything is so much cheaper and faster and easier to build, we've been saying this for a while, distribution's the moat. How do you get eyeballs? How do you get, new customers? Because I mean, somebody figures out how to get Claude code to work for 21 days straight and builds a whole new, whatever that's in your space, like barriers to entry, right? Michael Porter's 5 forces, right? Moats are disappearing in terms of like technical debt of engineering costs, right? And now it's like, well, okay, you got a great product that nobody knows about. That doesn't work either. So it's which I think it for me is kind of why I'm bullish on technology is not going to just usurp all the white collar jobs. Because I mean, what are you going to have? Your AIs fighting out the AIs, like on what to buy or what to sell. I just don't see that working. But I don't know, man. It's moving so fast. So just he's got another great article on just anxiety doesn't improve productivity. So if I had any, just start building something. There's still so many people who don't even use ChatGPT that maybe pay for the chatbot but haven't done anything. It's I think it's just like every other skill I've gotten better in the last month. Like I can't imagine what I'm gonna be doing in a year, but I'm just like it's really cool to learn, and it's made learning that much easier because you have like a built-in tutor assistant that doesn't judge you and it answers all your dumbass questions. So just keep doing it. And yeah, we still haven't solved on GTM, so I'm super looking forward to like how we can crack that and do some cool shit.
Yeah. I mean, every week I think we inch closer, and have some different epiphany of like, oh my gosh, like look at this, or like this is how we can tie it in. So yeah, inch by inch, but it is fascinating.
Yeah. So with that, we'll see everybody next week. We should have some interesting, cool things to show off on demo wise as well. And yeah, we'll start checking out maybe these Atios and Salesforce features and showing off what they can do. So see you next time. Have a good weekend.
Peace.